Hi everyone, and welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
I'm Nikki.
And today we're on our second part of the article about personification. Yes, this is a trick. It's a figure of speech that writers can use to make their work more creative.
More alive.
Exactly.
So they give human characteristics to non-human subjects.
Yeah, we looked at some examples. The sea roared. The breeze kissed my cheek. The sun smiled down on me.
So these create interesting images that draw readers into a story.
Right, they kind of are more interesting to read than just it was hot, the sea was loud, something like that. But personification also creates a mood. For example, if the rain is dancing lightly, it could be quite nice. You could think the scene will be fun, it's light-hearted. It's not bad to be outside in this rain.
Yeah, but if the rain is like hammering on the roofs, we know it's not fun to be outside.
Yeah, and this could mean bad or uncomfortable times for the characters in the story. It's almost like the weather is hinting what's going to come.
Yeah, something bad is going to happen.
Exactly, by the way you have personified it. So today we're going to look at how a couple of pretty famous writers have used personification in their work.
Reading.
Personification. Those words spoke to me. Almost all authors use personification to some degree. Sometimes this creates lines that live on long after their creator has passed away. For example, in Shakespeare's Hamlet, the main character talks about the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Here, fortune is described as using weapons to attack people. It's a terrific way to describe bad luck. J.R.R. Tolkien also uses personification. His mountains march across the land, and his storms fight battles with each other. One reason Tolkien does this is to make his imaginary world of Middle-earth feel truly alive. Another is to create a mood. This line from The Lord of the Rings does both. The woods seemed to become more crowded and more watchful. You need to think carefully before you use personification. There must be a connection between the thing that is being described and the characteristics that are given to it. If there isn't, it won't make sense. Master personification, however, and your writing will greatly improve.
So we start today by saying almost all authors use personification to some degree. The phrase to some degree means to a greater or lesser amount. Some writers use a little, some use a lot more, but pretty much any writer will use it at least a little bit. It's difficult not to say something like, oh, even my heart sank, my mind raced, that kind of thing.
那接续我们上一次的主题，我们介绍到了拟人化的用法，今天我们就要来看更多的例子。那课文一开始就告诉我们说，几乎所有的作家多多少少都会用到一点拟人法。To some degree 的意思就是说，在某一种程度上 ，to some extent， 那意思就是说多多少少只是程度上面的不同而已。
Okay, now we'll look at a few different ways that writers have used it and what effect this has. We start by saying sometimes this creates lines that live on long after their creator has passed away. Basically, they've used it so well, it's become almost a really famous line of dialogue or a line from a book or a play, as we'll see. Either way, it lives on. To live on means to survive. It doesn't disappear with either the passing of time or the passing away of the artist.
那 live on 指的就是流传下去或者是继续存在。 It means that even after these authors die, their legacies remain.
Exactly, and we say creator, and a creator is a person who creates something. Now, this could be art. You could say a creator of a picture or a book or anything like that, a new kind of dance, a new meal. If they made it, if they created it, they're a creator, but it could also be something scientific. The creator of a phone, a computer, a new car. Basically, if you made it, if you built it, if you thought of the idea and turned it into a real thing, you're a creator. For example, we could say the creators of the new car wanted to use the sun's energy to make it go.
那 creator 是名词，指的就是创造者，或者是拥有智慧财产权的那个人。那在这边课文的意思就是说，这些创作文学作品的人，也就是说我们接下来要介绍的几位作家。
And of course, these phrases live on after the creators, the writers, pass away. And pass away, of course, is just a more polite way to say die.
那 pass away 其实它就是 die， 就是死掉或者是过世的意思。但是我们会用 pass away 是一种比较隐晦，也是比较正式的说法。
Okay, so I mentioned plays, and that's where we're going to take our first example from. We see, for example, in Shakespeare's Hamlet, the main character, of course, Hamlet, talks about the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. So it's part of the big to be or not to be, very famous speech. He talks about slings and arrows. So an arrow is, of course, something you would shoot from a bow. A sling is basically a weapon that throws a rock. You know, it's a bit of leather or something, you spin it around and you fire rocks at people. And the phrase slings and arrows is kind of used in the modern day to mean very mean criticism. People saying bad things about your work. So this phrase from Shakespeare is still used today in lots of different ways.
那接着课文他就举了一个莎士比亚的例子，在哈姆雷特的独白中，他就提到了 slings and arrows， 字面上的意思就是指的是投石器还有弓箭，但是它背后的意思呢，指的就是那些发生在你身上的惨事或者是不好的事情，但是是你没有办法掌控的。
Right, and these slings, these arrows are being used by outrageous fortune. If something is outrageous, it's unbelievable in a bad way, the way that kind of makes people shocked and angry. I can't believe this. This is an outrage. That's the noun. This is outrageous.
那 outrageous 是形容词，通常是用来形容一件很夸张、很离谱的事情，或者是很过分、让人家很生气的事情。
And the thing that Shakespeare is describing as outrageous is fortune. Here, fortune is being used to mean the same thing as luck. This kind of force in the world, it may or may not control us, it can help us, it can affect us, but it's independent of skill. You can't really control your luck. You have it or you don't. And fortune can also mean your fate, your destiny. So, like a lot of things in Shakespeare, this has a double meaning. For example, it was my good fortune to find a 1,000 NT dollar bill on the ground today. Here, fortune just means luck.
那 fortune 是名词，在这边课文指的是运气或者是时运。但是除了当运气之外 ，fortune 也可以拿来当做财富 ，a large amount of money. For example, you can make a fortune on stock markets.
Exactly. So, to explain this whole little bit of speech here, the article says here, fortune is described as using weapons, slings and arrows, to attack people in a way that's like, oh my God, this is outrageous, this is terrible. Bad luck is just attacking me all over. It's using weapons. A weapon is some kind of tool designed to hurt or kill people. Swords, spears, guns. Exactly. So we could say the soldiers put down their weapons because the war was over.
那 weapon 是名词，代表的就是武器，一些可以伤害人、造成危险的东西。 For example, guns, swords, knives are all weapons.
Yeah, so this sentence, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, as the article says, it's a terrific way to describe bad luck.
Yeah, feels like it hurts.
Yeah, exactly. My luck is so bad, you know, there's so many things that happened, it's like I'm being shot, basically. They didn't have guns then, so he used bows, arrows, slings. Here we say it's a terrific way to describe bad luck. Terrific is one of those adjectives that means great, excellent, awesome, really good. So we could say, this was a terrific movie. I liked everything about it.
那 terrific 是形容词，指的就是极好的、超级棒的意思。那 so the article says it's a terrific and awesome way to describe bad luck.
Exactly. So let's move on to our second example author. Probably my favorite writer, as people who've watched this for me teaching for a long time will know. J.R.R. Tolkien also uses personification. Of course, he wrote The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, those kind of stories, all of those. And yeah, he was a big user.
So the article says his mountains march across the land and his storms fight battles with each other.
Okay, so yeah, mountains don't have legs, but they march. Storms are just storms, but that seems like they're really fighting each other. So Tolkien often writes about his mountains marching across the land. To march means to move like soldiers in long, well-organized lines. They're at a regular, steady, quite fast usually, speed. So when he says this about mountains, he said it's like these mountains are long lines of soldiers just walking along, walking along. That's how these big, long lines of mountains kind of appear. Here's another way we can use march. When the enemy army marched into the town, all the people hid in their houses.
那 march 在这里是动词，指的就是军队的行军或者是前进。那 march 除了可以当行军之外，我们也可以说它是一种抗议示威游行。People march and protest against something.
Exactly. So that was one example, these marching mountains, and he also talked about storms having a thunder battle. A battle is a large fight involving two or often sometimes more armies, and it's often one fight in a series of these fights, these battles in a war. Battle can sometimes be used for a really big one-on-one fight that goes on for a long time. You know, two boxers could say, wow, I was in a battle with that guy last night, or something like that. And Tolkien does this with the storms to really explain how it feels to be out. It's it's so loud, it's so violent, this
Feel
thunder.
Like people fighting with each
Yeah,
other.
it's like there's a war going on all around you with noise and flashes of light and being very scary. So it's really good personification. Here's another example of the word battle. I think if we attack the left side of their army, that side, we will win the battle.
那 battle 在这里是名词，但是它同时也可以当作动词，指的就是战斗或者是作战。所以课文这里的例子呢，就是说《魔戒》的作者他用了很多的拟人法，像是把山形容成会走动的军队，或者是暴风雨的互相作战。
So why is he doing this? Of course, it's making it interesting and creative, but as the article says, one reason Tolkien does this is to make his imaginary world of Middle-earth feel truly alive.
So it's not real.
It's not real, it's imaginary. It was all created in his mind over many years, but by making it sort of all these kind of features of the land have human characteristics, it almost feels like the land is a character in the story. It's alive, it's doing stuff.
那之所以这个作者会用这些修辞的原因呢，就是因为他的作品是在一个虚构的世界当中，所以他想要制造那种身临其境的感觉。Imaginary 是形容词，指的就是想象出来的或者是虚构的，像是可能你小时候会有一个 imaginary friend， 你的幻想的朋友，那它的动词会是 imagine， 指的就是想象或者是去设想。
So yeah, that's one reason personification is found a lot in Tolkien. It makes his world seem alive, like a character. And the article says another reason is to create a mood. It's kind of like what we talked about yesterday.
So the article says this line from The Lord of the Rings does both.
Yeah, it does both. It both makes the kind of place seem alive,
creative, and also the mood.
Yeah, it gives the mood to the scene. The line is, the wood seemed to become more crowded and more watchful. So yeah, this is when the hobbits are going through a kind of a scary forest. It seems crowded. The trees are kind of really close to them. It's uncomfortable. It's a little scary. They don't want to be there. So that does it. And then the trees are watchful. If something is watchful, it's watching something carefully to see what it does. And it's often in an unfriendly way because you think it might try to harm you or it could be in danger. So you're really kind of checking on it. So this makes these trees in the forest seem alive and unfriendly. They're watching the hobbits like, what are you doing here? Get out.
那在魔戒当中，作者呢他就运用到了我们刚刚提到的那些写作技巧。里面呢有一句话就说到，书里面的树林啊，看起来好像变得很拥挤，而且更有警戒了。那 watchful 是形容词，指的就是有警戒的，或者是小心的，可能担心会有不好的事情发生，或者是有一个不安全的这样环境当中。那作者就利用这样的一些措辞，让他书里面的树林变得很有生命力。
Okay, so there's a couple of examples. We encourage you guys, when you write, to use personification. It's good fun, but there are some things to remember. The article says you need to think carefully before you use personification. So think about the image you're trying to make.
Yeah, and that is because there must be a connection between the thing that is being described and the characteristics that are given to it.
Exactly. It needs to, you need to be able to follow that image. And the article says if there isn't this kind of connection, it won't make sense. So if you talk about a stone crying, that doesn't make sense. There's no real connection between stones and having water coming out of them, something like that. But if you said the forest was crying, you could maybe think of water falling off the leaves. So that's a stronger connection.
Or like the flowers crying. It's like dying.
Yeah, they're all kind of falling and drooping over and the petals are falling off. So yeah, flowers crying is a great one. That makes sense. If something makes sense, it is logical. It's reasonable, it's fairly clear and easy to understand. If you read it, you won't go, what? No, that's just strange. You go, oh, okay, I get what's going on here.
那但是要注意到的一点就是说，拟人法也不是说你可以随便乱用的，那通常是要有一定的连结，是看到的人可以想象出来的，这样会比较合理。那 make sense 指的就是合理或者是符合逻辑的。I've been told that I talk in my sleep, and most of the time the things I say don't make any sense.
Yeah, that's probably true. So the article carries on and says, master personification, however, and your writing will greatly improve. Master there being used as a verb to get really good at something.
Yeah, so that's the end of the article. So let's go to our today's For You Chat question.
All right.
For You Chat.
So today's For You Chat question is, have you seen or read any Shakespeare's plays? Did you enjoy them?
Yes, I did. I studied drama or theatre stuff when I was at school. The Tempest was the one that we studied at school. So I've seen that about like 8 times, either on theatre or on TV. I've seen a few others. I've been to the Stratford, where Shakespeare's from. They have a big Shakespeare company there. I've seen like Hamlet and Macbeth. I've been to the Globe in London, the open air theatre, seen Romeo and Juliet and King Lear. So yes, I have seen and read most of Shakespeare's plays.
Which one's your favorite?
Oh, The Tempest probably, because I spent a lot of time studying it. That really is, it's a really interesting one that I enjoy a lot. I do quite like Macbeth. I think it's short. There's not a lot of extra stuff in it. It's a very tight kind of story. How about you?
I never seen any plays of Shakespeare's, but I've read some of them because I study English literature before. So I think I like the Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah,
I
that's
like that.
good fun.
Like, they have fairies or like elves. Yeah, I think it's cute.
Yeah, a lot of funny stuff in that one as well. When the actors are putting on their own play and it's just very, very silly. Shakespeare was good at kind of mixing serious drama with just really dumb, funny stuff. So that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. For English for You, I'm Pat.
I'm Nikki.
We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Creator. Robert Moog was a famous creator of modern musical instruments. Fortune. Kelly fell off her bicycle, but she had the good fortune to land on soft grass. Weapon. Workers at the airport check you for any metal items that could be used as a weapon before you can get on the plane. Terrific. The students did a terrific job of cleaning up the beach. Now it looks beautiful. March. The soldiers shouted as they marched to keep their steps together. Battle. Chess is all strategy, so it's like a battle of the minds.
字汇小补帖
Sling. Outrageous. Imaginary. Watchful.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net